Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. I hope you're all doing really well. I've just seen in the comments, it's good to have you back, Rebecca, and Mackenzie Kate for that matter. It's been a while since we've seen Mackenzie in the chat. But Rebecca, we've missed your drum rolls the last couple of shows, and so we've had to deputise people the last couple of weeks. And so, Rebecca, it's good to have you back on the case, because we'll need your drum roll again later in the show after when we go to present the poll results, which today's poll, again, being a Q&A, very light-hearted, very fun. If your voice had a day job, what would it be? Therapist for sad songs, hype coach at the gym, late night radio host, or opera boss, obviously. Yeah, it's just a bit of fun. I'll tell you which one I would choose, as I often do, later in the show. Just before we, go through some housekeeping, today being a Q&A, you have to throw your Q&A, your questions, into the live chat so that Linda can grab them and we can answer them and put them up on screen. And as always, the Q&A shows are nothing without you. You are the show. Your questions and my humble answers in response is what it's all about. So please take the moment to put your questions into the live chat. We've already got one from, I think it's from Erin, isn't it? Let me go. Yes, Erin. So it's going to be good to... Oh, Erwin, not Erin. Erwin. We've got a good question there, so we'll get to that a little bit later for our first question. People are just mentioning what their weather is like. Rebecca's got rainy weather with flash floods in Sherman, Texas. That's not good, Rebecca. I hope everything is okay there. Peter's saying we've got magnificent weather the last week at the bottom of Australia. Yeah, that must be at the bottom of Australia, Peter, because currently in Brisbane, Australia, like earlier I was doing an online lesson with a student. He's in the US, and he couldn't hear me for how loud the rain was here. We've had a bit of rain too. Not quite to flash flood level, Rebecca, but it's been quite wet. In a lot of Australia today, or half of the country, it is a public holiday to celebrate and recognise a special day in Australia called Anzac Day. Anzac stands for, it's an acronym, stands for Australian and New Zealand Armed Corps. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for. I could be wrong. I think that's what it is. Anyway, it's a day that we remember our fallen soldiers. It started as a recognition of Gallipoli, which is going back to World War One, but has continued on, and it's on the 25th of April every year. Half of Australia is celebrating it with because the 25th was on Saturday here, but some of Australia is then having a public holiday today on the Monday. Queensland is not, and so we didn't get a public holiday for Anzac Day this year, which is a bit of a shame. My wife said to me, I could have really done with a public holiday. Yeah. But anyway, here we go. Let's talk about what's happening over the coming 4 weeks of our time together, because I mentioned public holidays. Next week here in Queensland is a public holiday on the Monday. It's what's called Labor Day. It's a union day. And so I won't be. That's not the case in every state in Australia on the Monday next week, but here in Queensland it is. So there is no show next week because of Labor Day. The week after that, the 11th, remembering I'm giving you the dates in Australian time, so for many of you, take a day off. On the 11th, we'll be doing a mini topic. I'm going to be talking to the psychology of adult singers. Very different to the psychology of being an a childhood learner or childhood singer. We're going to unpack that a little bit as a mini topic in a couple of weeks. The week after that, we've got another new special guest. Remember, I made the commitment to you, not the commitment so much, but I told you that the first half of this year was going to be all fresh-faced guests, people who we've never had on the show before. Remembering, this is like our 9th year of the live show. And we've had, you know, there are people that have been on the live show as special guests many, many times. But because I went to ICVT in Toronto, Canada last year, I met so many new, wonderful people, sat in so many really excellent presentations. It was an opportunity for me to invite a whole range of new people onto the show. So next week, in 3 weeks, on the 18th of May, we'll be having Madeline Miski-Yaga. I'll have to get her to tell me how to pronounce her name correctly. She's going to be talking to myofascial release. Really important topic for tension management and maintaining that physical, anatomical, biological balance. Really, I think you'll really enjoy Madeline's time with us. And then for the end of May, the 25th of May, it'll be just another Q&A. So just to highlight, we won't be doing another Q&A, like a specific Q&A for another 4 weeks. So if you have a burning question, today is the day to ask it, please. I do want to answer your questions. How are we going? We've got 13 votes in the poll, and so if you're currently watching the show, and you're not able to answer the poll, I think you can't answer the poll, and I think you can't actually. I definitely know you can't add a comment to the live chat unless you are subscribed to the channel, and the reason we do that, again, is to restrict the opportunity for trolls, because it just helps us to moderate. We know Linda is sitting there diligently moderating the show as we go live, but it just adds that extra layer of security. So you've got to subscribe, and then it makes you wait 5 minutes before you can add your comments. So take the opportunity if you can. 14 votes. How are we going? Interesting results. Rebecca's saying she clicked the first one. I take it, Rebecca, you said therapist for sad songs. I will let you know what I would give you what I would choose if I could, because I can't, if I was doing the poll myself. We should get into answering some questions, should we not? Let's do that now. But to do that, I need to do this. So Erwin's asked a really interesting question. Hi, Dan. I discovered when I practice my vocal fold closure, I can sing with some distortion, and with that distortion I feel kinda easier to sing high notes and improve my flageolet volume. Is it bad? The way you've posed that question, Erwin, it's a little unusual, in the sense that to practice vocal fold closure, I'm practicing vocal fold closure right now as I talk, because my vocal folds have to be brought together to phonate, to create speech. And of course, as we sing, yeah, there's vocal fold closure. I wonder, given that you then go on to reference I can sing with some distortion, whether you're talking about really causing a strong adduction and that distortion is then feeling easier as you get higher. It's an interesting. Again, I'm going to answer it as I think you mean it, and that is, with this stronger adduction. Distortion is never. I went to say never bad. No, it can be bad, but we don't automatically. The moment we feel distortion in the voice, we don't automatically go, that's bad. We want to be mindful of the indicators as to how that is felt in the moment, over time, and after use. So obviously, if it feels in the moment tight or choky, then that's probably an indication that there's too much tightness, constriction. If it's unable to be maintained, throughout a song with a sense of relative ease and sustainability, then that may be an indication that we don't quite have the balances right, of whether it be airflow or the adduction, the amount of supraglottic constriction that is possibly necessary for the sounds that you're making. And also, if the voice is really showing serious fatigue and wear and tear after the application of those sounds, then that too is probably cause for concern and review. That all being said, it's about you orientating to the kind of sounds you are wanting to do. Now, because we don't, in contemporary vocals, we're not about setting up a good or bad scenario. We're looking for healthy, sustainable activity that you can do over a lifetime, not just in the moment, but over a lifetime. And so it's important that, for example, as you're going up into flageolet volume, and by that I'm now thinking whistle tone. Are you thinking up? And which is, flageolet is more of a classical terminology. We do have to be careful with the kinds of muscular activity we're applying up there. But you're saying it kind of feels easier to sing high notes. Then I would go with the physical sensation, but I would monitor the in the moment, the over the short term, and then over the long term would be my thoughts around that. Distortion is not something I myself actively teach, but we've had some really good people come on to talk about distorted vocal values here on the channel, and so I would direct you to their videos, because it is it's a highly specialized field. It's funny, it's becoming less specialized in the sense that there are becoming more people who are teaching it and teaching it very effectively. But it's still not something that I tend to teach myself, simply because I've not performed in that genre, and apart from appreciating the skill around it, I don't sing it myself. That all being said, I do have students that do sing in those heavier genres, and we work with the balance around those sounds that they are already using. I hope that makes sense. Erain, is it Erain? Am I getting that right, Erain? Hey, I can chest belt at the top of my lungs at E4, okay, but not F F sharp 4, which is a tone higher, do you know what could be going on? Yeah, 100%. Your voice is transitioning. And so mechanically and acoustically, there is a gear shift that is taking place. And the musculature right now in the setup and balances of your voice as it currently stands, your voice is needing to make a switch. Now, when we are developing things like belt, you're calling it chest belt, when we're establishing things like that and working on these techniques, we do work on, how do I normally say it? Now that I go to say it, I can't think of how I say it. We do typically work on withholding the transition. So we try to edge that transition up a little bit higher. We wouldn't immediately try to achieve the F sharp 4 that you're talking about. We might try to maintain, firstly, we would try and ensure that the E4 that you are hitting is really well balanced and is clean, and the run up, the penultimate notes up to that E4 are, being done in good measure. Then what we might do is try to withhold the transition for another semitone, so up to the F4. Not because that F sharp 4, that can be a canyon away. So we're just going to try and traverse just that semitone, that half step. And what we're doing there in part is also just, exercising the ligament. It's a bit like learning to do the splits. And I've used this analogy before on the show that, if I was to try to go straight into the splits, I would do myself some serious damage, because none of my ligaments have got the stretch to do that. Is it theoretically possible for me to learn how to do the splits even at the age that I am now? Theoretically, it may well be. I feel uncomfortable just thinking about it. But I would need to do that over an extended period of time and really just stretch slowly but surely the ligaments and the muscles to the point where my joints can go through that full range of motion required for the splits. In a similar way, loosely, we're looking for that same development with your belt at a muscular coordination level. We also have some acoustic things going on, some resonance things that we need to balance as well, as far as airflow, as far as placement, and the way we're tuning our formants to work in team with that muscular shift. So my encouragement to you is to start that journey. You can start that journey, if you haven't already, within my Voice Essentials online courses, and it will take you along those transitional journeys. Not straight away, because there's other foundational techniques that you have to have in place to workshop transitions, but certainly the online courses can help you with that. How are we going with the votes? 15 votes we are up to. 15 votes and no more questions. We don't have any more questions. This could end up being quite a short show. Do you know what? If it is a short show, it won't be a bad thing for me, because currently, and I didn't mention it at the beginning of the show, currently I'm carrying a really bad sort of upper back into my neck. Last week, playing touch football, you all know that I play touch football during the week, which is like a social sport here in Australia and worldwide. In fact, this is a complete side note, there is a push at the moment from the World Touch Football Association to have it included as an exhibition sport in the 2032 Olympics, which are being held here in Brisbane. So there you go. You might get to watch it. You know, the very sport that I play every week. I will definitely not be a part of the Olympic team, but nonetheless, you might get an appreciation as to why I love it so much. But in the match I played on Wednesday night last week, I copped quite a heavy knock from behind as I saved a try, which is, it's all based on just touch, but, you know, they can be quite heavy-handed touches. I copped quite a knock and it jarred me. I thought it had settled down even through the game, but then I woke up the next couple of days and, oh dear, for the last few days, my back and my neck have been completely out of sorts. And so I'm in a little bit of discomfort, everyone. A little bit. There you go. You can feel sorry for me. How are we going for questions? Anything, any questions, people? Because if we don't have any questions, I can't make, give you any answers, can I? No more. Linda's writing in with in bold caps, not bold caps like a bolded font. No more coming in. Maybe Linda, we've got to the bottom of the barrel as far. Maybe we've answered every single question there is to. No, I don't believe that for a second. Here we go. Is Peter's? This is not a. Well, it is kind of a question, but it's more of a question of interest regarding the live the analysis videos I do. Any hope of you reviewing Love Bites Judgment Day live? I'm interested in your opinion of Asami the singer's voice. Peter, I think you sent me a video to have a look at, and I can tell. I can't remember. I think, Peter, I'm just going to I'm opening up my schedule of what my Love Bites, Love Bites, Love Bites. I thought, now why, I thought I might have put a Love Bites into my list, but now that I'm looking at it, Peter, I have not. But I remember you sending it through to me, and now that I'm looking for it, there'll be a reason, and I must admit I can't remember what the reason was. There'll be a reason why I chose not to look at it, but I honestly can't remember what it was. I don't always look at everything people send me. In fact, one of my students sent me the other day, there is a wonderful vocal that's just blowing up on YouTube and being shared around. It's a lady doing a very heavily distorted vocal. She's sort of in very dark makeup. I forget what the name of the singer or the song is. She's doing a cover of something. It's so super cool. And I made a decision. I'll give you some insight into some of my thinking with these things. I made a decision to not do a reaction to it because my student sent it to me and said, "Oh, can you do a reaction to this?" And one of the reasons I made a decision not to is because of the level of just unfettered positive emotional response that this singer has gotten, which I actually love. I think that's awesome. We want art to invoke a deep response. That's really positive. But when it comes to then critiquing, it becomes a very dangerous space, because even in me giving a critique and maybe offering certain insights or critical thinking reflections, if someone has made such an emotional connection to a piece, that can be received the wrong way. Now, I am very cognizant of the fact that that actually happens all the time with my live analysis videos. Not live, the analysis videos. It happens on a frequent basis, actually. But not because I've knowingly made that strategic error in commenting on something that's so current. You'll notice that, in fact, nearly all of my videos, my analysis videos, are made on quite historical performances, and that is driven in part because I'm not wanting to wade through the emotiveness of it. I'm wanting to make educational critique, and sometimes we need to allow the emotion, which was a good thing generally, to subdue with time so that critical analysis can be made. That was in regards to this other person. Peter, I can't remember the exact reason why I haven't, yeah. So I at this stage I don't think I will be, because I remember you sending me an email. I'm sure you sent me an email. Rebecca is saying, I'm currently not singing on my priest team due to a sad situation. What would you say? How do I maintain my voice during this time? I would say you maintain through vocal activity, through, and this is going to take a bit of discipline on your behalf, Rebecca, through maintaining your activity at home, and using the voice with intentional exercise and extension. And what I mean by extension is singing, doing a warm-up and perhaps singing 4 or 5 songs in a similar loading to what you would be doing as a part of your church worship team to maintain. Now, you are unlikely to maintain the same match fitness, I always just refer to it as match fitness, gig fitness, as you would if you were actually actively on stage singing. But nonetheless, at least your voice will be sitting there in a standby state, and with some level of flexibility and activity, and that will prove to be a good thing, Rebecca, because my current understanding around atrophy is after 4 days of non-use, the voice will start to atrophy. You'll start to lose the physical conditioning of the voice. And if you continue to not use the voice with an intentional, active manner, after 40 days, you'll have lost any of that muscular toning. Not the muscle memory, but the muscular toning. And so you want to maintain that activity. I see this in my client base over the Christmas break. Here in Australia, Christmas is during our summer. I take my extended teaching break over that period of time. It can be 6 or 7 weeks between drinks, between my last lesson of the year with a student to then seeing them again for their first lesson of the year, maybe late January, early February. If that student, and more often than not this is the case, if that student has not been proactive in the use of their voice over that time, it can take a good 4 weeks, maybe a couple of lessons to re-establish that muscular conditioning. And so that's the biggest challenge you're currently facing, Rebecca, is muscle condition. Here we go. We've got another one here. Oh, that's not. I was talking about the comments being blocked from Dan's personal view. I don't know what we're talking about there, but here we go. We've got one here. How many years should a tenor train before trying the melocchi method? Aaron, I don't know anything about the melocchi method, to be honest with you. I've never encountered that. So there you go, honest answer. So I can't tell you. Melocchi, that strikes me as Italian, but even that I'm not sure, because I've never come across that before. That very much sounds very classical, and as we know here at Voice Essentials, I'm a contemporary singing teacher, and so I don't tend to come across things like what we're talking about there, but yeah, I don't know what melocchi is. Sorry, that's a little bit of a wet blanket, isn't it? Rebecca has responded to the thoughts that I've given. Okay, thank you. I'll keep the exercises going. I don't want to lose what I work so hard on. Exactly. That's the importance of maintenance with the voice and continuing the activity and continuing the conditioning. Is you do work hard to get the voice up and running, and once you've got the voice sitting on that cruise altitude, you use a lot less fuel to keep it there than to get it there. And so if you can maintain the voice use over the coming period of time, Rebecca, then my encouragement to you is to do your best to do that. Aaron's saying, sorry, didn't realise I only focus on non-classical singing. That's okay. If you don't know, you don't know. It's not a biggie. I'm sorry that I'm not able to answer your question. I do, to the best of my ability, never try to send you off with a thought, with me just making it up on the spot. I do try to give you a very informed, educated answer, but I can only do that if I know what we're talking about. And melocchi, I'm going to write that down because I need to go and find melocchi. I need to go and have a look at what that is, because I've melocchi method. There you go. See, I learn by doing this. In fact, I was telling someone recently, not telling someone, they were asking me, about the YouTube channel, and I said, oh, well, I've been doing this live show for 9 years, and they went, wow, 9 years, and I said, yeah, but I get so much out of it personally and professionally that I can tell you it doesn't feel like 9 years. Personally, I've gotten to know all of you, and we have a very real community here at Voice Essentials. That's personally. Professionally, by doing the YouTube thing, I have learned so much. We've had the opportunity to have and continue to have the most amazing guests who are all presenting at the top of their game internationally, and we get to sit with them when they come on and just sit and learn, which is just amazing. But equally, you know, when you ask me questions that I don't know the answers to, like what is the melocchi method, it gives me an opportunity to go, do you know what? Don't know the answer to that. And I can go and have a look and learn and extend my own knowledge. So, Aaron, don't apologise. Let me say thank you to you for, you know, pushing me to find out something new. I think that's awesome. And in fact, Aaron's following up with a question here. How did you yourself personally expand your M1 chest range, or did you not bother doing that and just always flipped into head voice? Working on M1 chest range and then learning how to transition that, Aaron, is about balance. It's about coordination, and it's about vocal tract shaping, the resonance of it. And pushing through that space, that transition, is never the right approach. It's always about managing a balance, yeah? And so for me personally, it's learning to move through that upper register. For guys, it's often a thing where we go from chest, what you're calling chest, straight into falsetto. And in fact, it's learning to develop your middle register, what a lot of people refer to as mixed, but is in fact probably upper register, and moving through that, and then learning to grade that in such a way and make decisions around that. There has to be an intentionality for most people in developing these skills. And again, this is all built into the Voice Essentials online courses, and it directly steps you through the application of these activities. I think we've got Rebecca's. I'm going to highlight that Rebecca. I'm not going to put it on screen, Rebecca, but your sister is currently going through a cancer journey, and I'm sorry to hear that, Rebecca. That's a challenging journey. It's one that I know, and personally, and as many of you know, and being a support to a person who is traveling the cancer journey is a challenge in and of itself. So we will keep you in our thoughts and prayers, Rebecca, and hope that things, you know, move along and progress well for her. When it comes to things like, you know, cancer, I think the great temptation is to try and give words of reassurance that are actually not appropriate. They're not real, because outside of the decisions that the person themselves can make around accessing healthcare, or maybe can't because healthcare can be expensive. Toxic positivity actually doesn't help. In fact, it can be quite damaging. And so certainly having walked the journey I did with my wife about 8 or 9 years ago, I do know that we knew when people just acknowledged, we knew that they were in support of us, without going, well, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. No, that's I'm sorry, I personally think that's garbage, yeah, and not helpful at a time. You know, you wouldn't, God wouldn't test you with, you know, anything you can't have. No, that's not helpful. So Rebecca, all I can say is thank you for sharing that, and we do hope that her progress remains positive. Where have we? Oh, we got another question. We might actually make this the last question. Well, actually, we have to make this the last question now that I look at the time. Here we go. Lennon is asking. What is Lennon asking? Lennon is asking, could the voice be effectively exercised doing lip trills, humming and Z's only, and no vocalizing of scales and notes? Not really, Lennon. That's going to be a rather shallow line of development. It is important to remember that certain activities work certain aspects of the voice. There is no one activity that is your one-stop shop for every aspect of your singing. Straw phonation, as an example, or lip trills, or lip bubbles, tongue trills, is not the be-all and end-all of voice development. You may well come across people suggesting that it is online, but it is not. Because at the end of the day, you do have to articulate. You do have to learn to manage the way your jaw interacts with your tongue, which interacts with your teeth and your palate. You do need to interact with phrasing, which is driven by monitored and managed breath flow. Yes, does straw phonation as an example sort of use that? Yeah, but we need to apply that in different ways. And so open vowel activities are also an important part of the picture. If you were to find yourself with a singing teacher who only gave you lip bubbles, for example, well, that may not be a long-term relationship. You may really benefit from that small amount of information and input, but equally you might find yourself moving on to someone who's got a bit of a broader scope in the activities that they apply themselves to. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. I hope you've enjoyed today's live hangout, everyone. Oh, Rebecca. Give me the drum roll. I'm waiting. Yes, Linda, I can see. Linda's saying, the poll. I will. We've had 16 votes, but I'm waiting. There we go. Rebecca's given us the drum roll. 3, 2, 1. Here it comes. The results. If your voice had a day job, what would it be? Oh, I did forget to ask you all. What do you think? What do you think would be mine? I'm waiting for you for someone to sort of suggest what mine would be. So the options, the highest rate, which is late night radio host, which is cool. 24% for therapist for sad songs, and that would be mine. That would have been mine. I would have gone that one. Hype coach at the gym. When I wrote that one, I went, I just feel exhausted thinking about that. And then opera boss, obviously. So that was a bit of a fun, that one today. It was fun to play the drums. Well, it's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it, Rebecca? So I'm not surprised you enjoy getting your emoticon sticks out again and beating the drums. I hope you've enjoyed today's hangout. Remember again, next week, no show. We've got a public holiday here, and we'll be back with a mini topic in 2 weeks. And I very much look forward to seeing you then, which by then I do hope my neck is in better condition than it currently feels, which I'm sure it will be, but anyway. I look forward to seeing you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.